Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and give another um, message or video. Someone actually DM'd me and said, hey, like, no offense or anything, but when I followed you, I kind of expected you to put up more content or make more videos, and I think you should probably do it. That's why I followed you, and I thought that was funny, but I really needed to hear that because I get really lazy or just caught up in more worldly things, kind of like my last video about where is our identity. And I kind of wanted to go off of that a little bit more about, you know, doing our own will versus doing the will of God. And I was running again, and this came to me that in those moments where I'm doing my own will or doing something that the world expects of me, or what I think would be ideal from a more worldly perspective, I don't feel good. I just feel like down and kind of depressed, and I'm just like not at my highest. And then it's in those moments where I just like make that little switch. I'm like, okay, God, I want to do your will now. I want to do your will. And then it's in those moments where it's like I come alive. It's like the whole time when I was doing my will or the will of the world, I was asleep. I was just like in zombie mode. And then all of a sudden I decide to do God's will, and I'm just like, this is what living's like. This is amazing. It's like everything you do becomes fruitful now. Like if you're doing chores, you now enjoy doing chores. You see it as a way of sanctification, or you're allowing Jesus to be present with you in that moment. It's amazing because I think too often we look at the end goal, especially as Christians, we look at the end goal, heaven, living with Jesus, but we don't realize that Jesus intended that to be an everyday, every moment sort of thing. Like we should be inviting Jesus to be with us now, right in the present. Like we don't have to wait until we die to be with him and to have that little paradise, that little heaven on earth. We can have him now. We can be present with his spirit now. And it's really just about making that switch. Okay, I don't want to do my will, but your will. And the passage that really resonated with me, especially when I was running and this like came to me, because what I did was I offered up my run as a small sacrifice, because God can really use just about any sacrifice. The same way that when he fed the 5,000, if you offer him up, he asked, does anyone have bread or fish? And people brought up, the disciples collected like 5 loaves of bread, and he turned that and fed 5,000. So even in our small little sacrifices, he can multiply it, he can perfect it, and it becomes so much more fruitful. And that's what I love about inviting Jesus to be present with us. It makes your entire life a sacrifice, a fruitful and enjoyable sacrifice. I just went on a little tangent, but what really stuck with me was Matthew 10:39. I had heard this before, but I always thought about it in a different context. He says, "He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it." And I had always thought of that as like, okay, maybe one day I'm going to have to choose. Maybe, who knows, like something will happen and I have to choose save my life or choose Jesus, and maybe I'll end up being a martyr or something. I always thought about that in the context of being a martyr, dying for Jesus. But I had never thought of it in this everyday context. Like everything, every moment, are you dying to yourself so that God's will can flourish? And it's ironic because you're dying to yourself. You're killing your own will so that God's will can live. And it's in that moment that you're really most alive, that you're most fulfilled, you're the happiest you've ever been. Energized and optimistic and full of life and love and all of these positive things that we're constantly seeking. And we don't realize that, because who wants to die to themselves? It's a sacrifice. It's hard when you live in the world. We tend to see our problems as a solution, so it creates this cycle. You know, you don't have enough money, solution, more money. And then it just, you're just digging your hole deeper and deeper. And the same with any other addiction, greed or gluttony. And you always see the problem and the thing that's really holding you down and keeping you down as your next solution, and then you never find it. I was listening to this song about this girl it was a Christian song, but she was just talking about, like, Lord, I want to feel your presence. And I've seen that a few times online where people are really just, they want to hear God's voice. They want to know that they're not alone. And it's so sad, because I've been there, and in these moments, it's when I'm doing my will that I can't hear God's voice. And it's in every single day. It's like up, down. Whose will am I doing? But you really, when you're not doing God's will and you're not inviting him in, it can be so lonely. So my encouragement for you guys is, he who loses his life for Jesus' sake will find it. That doing the will of God, you will live an amazing life. You will come to life. So don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of the sacrifices. Love is sacrifice. It might seem terrible in the moment, but you see the fruit from it. It's like exercising. No one wants to do it at first. No one likes the idea of it. But then you do it, and then you feel good. All right. But anyways, I just thought I would share. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.